when it comes to combat knives within this game, it's very clear that they all have their own roles. The fencing one is for the people that don't want to necessarily main their melee weapon and want to have consistent parries at all times. The block knife, okay, that thing is just for the people that don't know how to parry, can't parry, I don't know, but usually the higher damage of the options are block, sadly. So there's also that. But the pure melee enthusiast will find the balanced one to be their best friend, I would think. Their one and only, even, because it has unmatched speed in the knives department at least. Decent attack, I think it's one less than the fencing one, so I think it does have the weakest attack, and it's got okay cleaving at best, but the thing's speed is what makes this weapon, this knife, that much more special, I think. Because you can always supplement the loss of, like, damage, because of the variant. But the speed factor is not something that the classes can make up a lot of the time. There's no perks for extra swing speed on weapons. There's perks for damage, but when it comes down to it in hordes, you don't want a lot of damage a lot of the time. You kind of want something that you can swing a whole bunch to clear it. It ends up being a lot easier on you when you have that, truth be told. It's kind of hard for me to properly state the importance of speed on a melee weapon. I'm sure plenty of people get it, but if I were to try and describe it to a person who knew nothing about it, it'd be hard to give them a full on, like, this is exactly why you want this. Because they may not at the end of the day. They may want the better parries, the more consistent parries, and so on. So it's the knife that will speak to you rather than just listening to someone talk about them. So I do recommend trying them, obviously. I mean, if your class doesn't have them, like, kind of shit out of luck. But this knife, this balance knife, is so goddamn badass for the Vanguard specifically because of the supplemented damage out of some perks and how fast we can swing this damn thing. It's kind of hard for a good chunk of Tyranids or Heretics to get a hold of the situation on you because you're just a whirlwind of death. It is the real deal, okay? I actually genuinely think this is the best knife because you can actually use it so proactively to get shit done. I mean, I've been using it to level up the weapons so that I could actually, like the primary weapons, so I can actually try different ones. And this thing has made it to where I don't have to go below substantial even. Usually just stay on ruthless, but whenever I'm trying a brand spanking new weapon, it's not even green tier yet. Yeah, of course I'm not going to go into ruthless. So this knife has helped me kind of get things up there a little bit more into the relic tiers, like using the Oculus bolt carbine here. I think that's what it's called. Didn't know it was full auto. It's almost a perfect pairing with this weapon, this knife. I don't know why I wasn't using it before, but it is something that I really do enjoy. I mean, I kind of guess I do know why thinking about it just now while actually doing all this editing. It's the damn Melta. That's why I wasn't using this before. Because it's goddamn too good. It's too flashy. Fuck, is it sexy. Anyway, it's really easy for me to get off on a tangent, but the balance knife itself, I know, and it has engravings, no tactical advantage whatsoever. I know the whole spiel, but it does look the best out of all the combat knives. That's also what it has going for it. Honestly, if you know the knife well enough, this thing will take you places, okay? If you don't know the knife well at all, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a little weird, I imagine. But if you have, like, a need for a recommendation for, like, mastery paths and whatnot, too, go for the one with the Shadow Stab in it. Because Shadow Stab is ungodly good, okay? The stab itself does so much damage that It feels like you can chunk warriors and above easily with it. I've used it on Neurothropes and Carnifexes and stuff, and it doesn't take massive amounts, but 10% of its HP in one hit is pretty damn good in my opinion. So Shadow Stab over that, like, charge that you do with the shoulder, nah, fuck all that noise, alright? You want something that you can actually use actively that will take you from just, like, getting swarmed, getting hit a bunch, to being able to easily dispatch the warriors, killing off all the Homogants. Yeah? Yeah? We'll go with it. Killing all of them off and then kind of just leading you into victory, if you will. Like, the knife itself is so potent at what it does, I think it could easily be, like, not just the best knife, but, like, balanced itself might be one of the better ones if they retain this kind of, a little bit less damage, more speed, whatever on the cleaving potential. If most of the other weapons keep that same layout, balanced is probably the best, honestly. For straight melee, I mean, sure, you miss out on a little bit of damage, but proper classes and all that, we've been through that with perks and all that noise. I don't want to sound like a fucking broken record, okay? But the damn thing is solid, okay? I slept on it for a hot minute because I was too busy using the fencing one. Amazing weapon, I'll say it, but it doesn't have the damage potential all the time that I want. I mean, it does, but it's the more the damage per second, I suppose, because it's not nearly as fast, right? But it has consistent parries and so on. The black one, dear God, man, like, taking out a whole pillar of the combat is just gonna throw people off, I think, for the people that are like me and they're used to just getting parries left, right, and center. But that damage output is insane. So, I mean, they all have their places. That's what I'm trying to get at, I guess. But the good one, the one that you really, really want for a melee build, a melee enthusiast, it's probably the balanced one, honestly, so that you can stay within the fight and get parries. You're fast enough to stun lock enemies whenever you're actually in heavy stance. I think it can do that, but if you're smacking them fast enough in the light stance, it also can kind of stagger enemies, so keep that in mind too. It kind of goes both ways with the knife, it can do both. Of course, naturally, at the end of the day, you can only take what I say as a grain of salt. You gotta try it for yourself, of course, because while I may love the damn thing, you could hate it for X, Y, and Z reasons. This game is so fast-paced at times where, like, it doesn't, pay off to be able to hit in the middle of an enemy's attack just for that little bit extra damage because you can't, you know, parry all the time in the middle of that animation, so on. Like, you can get caught, is what I'm trying to get at. And it's only really a part of the game. Like, it's only really natural, right? Like, it's just gonna happen. But the deciding factor is what knife you bring, because it will help you either get the executions faster, clear the actual fodder faster, so on. It's kind of one of those things where each knife has their own scenarios that they thrive in, but the balanced knife is, as it says, it's balanced. It kind of fits into all the scenarios, kind of equally. And honestly, I like my weapons to do that. Sure, it's good to have just like the one thing out of a weapon, but a weapon that can kind of do all of it is good. A jack of all trades weapon is a tool at the end of the day. So I would say if you value utility in your weapon too, yeah, there's a little bit of that. I mean, that's why the fencing weapon is so good, because it has the utility of constant parries, easy perfect parries. It's just insane when you think about it. because the block one is full aggressive, no real utility. Blocking is kind of a death sentence a lot of the time. Balanced and fencing have the utility of parries, but, you know, varying stats, so you yourself will be the one to say yes, no, maybe so. But the balanced knife has the sugar spice and everything nice that somebody would want. Melee enthusiast or not, you gotta at least try it for yourself to see if I'm full of shit or not, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. See for yourself at the end of the day. Maybe you like it, maybe you won't. I could see a lot of people kind of just being like, nah, it ain't for me. Because I think the main difference as well for like parry frames and so on, the balance stuff, you get more perfect parries, it feels like, towards the end of the animation. Even with the better perfect parry window perk on Vanguard, but like fencing, you can just press L1 and it's probably gonna be a goddamn perfect parry, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's one of those things where I haven't sat down and tested it and got the data, you know what I mean? I'm just a guy playing this shit and seeing how it feels. Like, the feel to me is a lot more important than numbers and statistics and all that. How does the weapon feel? Does it feel like it does better? Does it feel like it's faster than the enemies at times? If that's the case, goddamn, I'm probably gonna use it, because if it does feel that way, then it probably is better. It's probably going faster than the enemies at times. It's probably going the distance, alright? I don't know. Like I said, feel is the most important thing to a guy like me, so a weapon like this that feels this good, this great, yeah, it's one of those things I gotta, like, shine a little bit of a light on, because goddamn, if I'm the only guy using it, it almost feels like, I don't know, being selfish, like, this kind of good stuff should be shared, you know? This weapon is that good. It's not just like, oh, YouTuber hyperbole. It is, like, genuinely, like, fucking fire, alright? Like, it's great. But only you can really decide at the end of the day if it truly is that good, or I'm blowing smoke, whatever. For the guys that are knife enthusiasts, they probably will like it. For somebody that wants to use a chainsaw 24/7, yeah, he's probably not gonna fucking like it. But that's fine. I mean, who wants to sit here and use one thing all day, you know? Of course, I want to try new shit out too. That's what I do. How I figured this shit out. So that's, kind of how the process is, I guess. Just like, oh, only using this one thing. Things are getting boring. What else is there? Goddamn, there's some new fire ass shit I've been fucking neglecting. What the hell? I don't know, it's just, kind of how it goes in a game like this, where there are clear cut winners amongst the weapons, right? But there's the underlying, like, gems that people leave behind, and only a few, like a very select few people, it feels like, truly get to experience them and actually enjoy them for what they are and what role they fill within the game. Can't neglect this kind of stuff, because you never know what you might find that you might enjoy more than just the best of the best. It is out there. You just got to see for yourself at some point. I mean, people are doing it. It does happen, but very tiny minority of people will switch off of something as powerful as the Melta and Chainsword, I imagine. So, you do you at the end of the day, boss. It's alright.